Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tammy Sander, and I'm the Communications Director for Hamilton County. We're here tonight to talk to and about first-time and young voters, and we're so excited that you all decided to join us. We know that voting for the first time can be incredibly intimidating, but as Beth is going to tell us, it does not have to be. We'll arm you tonight with the knowledge you need to feel empowered to vote, no matter where you are on election day. So whether you're a college student away from home or just feeling unsure of the whole process, we hope you'll feel a bit more confident about casting your ballot at the end of the evening. Let me start by introducing Beth Scheller. She is our county's election administrator. Prior to serving in that role, Beth was the county's voter registration deputy. She also has a certificate in election administration, technology, and security at Ball State University. So she has lots of knowledge to share with us tonight, not just about registering to vote, which we hope most of you already are, but ways in which you can make sure that your vote counts. So here's our agenda. Tonight, we'll show you how to register to vote. Again, hoping that you already are, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but we will run through that. We'll show you where and when you can vote early, especially those college students who may be getting ready to come home for fall break. We'll show you how to apply for an absentee ballot and mail your vote in. Again, a great option for college students living outside of Hamilton County on election day. And then we'll talk a little bit about election day, what to expect, what to bring with you, and we'll walk you through the check-in process and show you how to use the machines. And then finally, we'll stop along the way to answer any questions. So there is a comments box. Beth's going to keep an eye on that. If you have questions along the way, please drop those in the comments box. Okay, Beth, we are less than a month away from this election, which means there's not a whole lot of time left to register to vote. Bring us up to date.
Right. So the deadline is this coming Monday, October 7th. And there's several ways you can get registered to vote, but you're not going to be able to vote if you're not registered to vote, okay? And you have to be registered to vote by October 7th. The first way is online. That's the very easiest way to register to vote. You have to have an Indiana driver's license or state ID to do that. And then you just go to indianavoters.com, have your driver's license or state ID number ready. And it's very simple. You just click on check voter status, and obviously you're going to get yourself up there not registered. Some people will check it and they're surprised that they are registered to vote. Maybe that they forgot that they said at the BMV, you know, go ahead and send an application for me and you are registered to vote. But that's where you check it. And then it just leads you through a very simple putting in your information along with your identification number, which is your driver's license or state ID. And then we get that the next day. And then we will get you registered. That's the easiest way to do it. But some of you may not have a Indiana driver's license or state ID, so you cannot do it that way if you do not. But that's the fastest, easiest way to do it. And most of you are going to be up on technology, so you'll be able to follow that app easily. The second way to do it is by mail. This I would probably use as a last resort, but you can use it. So you can go to indianavoters.com or you can go to our Hamilton County website under elections and you'll find this, what we call VRG7. It's just a simple registration form. Put all your information on there. You must fill in your name, where you live, your registration address. You have to give us your date of birth, your identification. You have to sign it and you have to answer 2 federal questions saying you are a U.S. citizen and you will be 18 by election day, which is November 5th this year. And then you can put that in, you can drop it in the mail. The kicker with that is it has to be postmarked by Monday, October 7th. So you're not going to be able to probably throw it in the mail at 8 o'clock Monday night. It might not get postmarked until Tuesday. So if you're going to do it on Monday, which I probably would not wait that long, but if you're going to do it on Monday, then make sure it gets stamped on Monday. And then we have to get it within a week. So if you're out of town or something, you know, the mail can run slow at different times. So this would be my last resort. The other way is going to be in person. So we are at the Judicial Center in Noblesville. Voter registration is on the 2nd floor. of the Judicial Center in Noblesville, 1 Hamilton County Square. If you know where the old courthouse is on the square, we're directly across from it. And on the second floor is voter registration, like I said, and you can just walk in and fill out a form. It's very simple, might take you 5 minutes. So that's, if you're in town, that would probably be the easiest way if you had to register with the last 4 digits of your social security number. These places right here, you can go to the BMV, any licensed branch. And if you are doing a transaction, they will definitely send an application. But remember, they're not open on Mondays, so you'd have to probably do this by Saturday. But even online with transactions with the BMV, they will allow you to submit an application. So just make sure it's going to be submitted before midnight on Monday. There are other places you can pick up an application, the treasurer's office in your city or town, Hamilton County, the library, something like that. You can register at one of the public assistance offices, but you're going to want to make sure that we're going to receive it by Monday. So I would probably try to do it on your own if you're running it this tight. So online is by 11:59 on Monday night. They'll cut it off. And if you do it at 12:01 or even at 12, you're done until next election. We'll still have your application, but we won't process it until after this election. So 11:59 Monday night, October 7th, have it postmarked by in the mail by October 7th, or come in person by 4:30 p.m. We're open 8 to 4:30 here at the Judicial Center in Noblesville.
All right.
Any
Well, this is
questions
probably
here?
a great place to stop, see if there's any questions about voter registration before we move on to the many ways you can cast your ballot. Beth, I'll let you check for questions, but here's one for you. Do you have to be 18 years old to register to vote?
And that's a good question, and a question that we get a lot. You do not have to be 18 to register. You only have to be 18 by election day, which is November 5th this year. So say, the October 7th is the cutoff. Say you're going to turn 18 on October 20th. You go ahead and register to vote. Your deadline to register is still October 7th, but you will be registering actually as a 17-year-old, and you will be able to vote on election day.
And we're past the primary already, but does it same hold for the primary? Could a 17-year-old actually vote in a primary if they'll be
Yes.
18 by November?
Yes, yes. So what happens in the primary is almost everything. If you're going to be 17 by the November election and you go ahead and register, say in March of that year, you can still vote on almost everything on the ballot. There are a couple of exclusions. Anything that's making a decision, you cannot. But anything that's putting a candidate on the ballot in the fall that you could vote for, you can. So you couldn't vote on like a public question or something like that, but almost everything.
It's interesting. Are you seeing any questions?
I don't see any questions right now.
All right, then we'll keep moving on ahead. Let's talk about the many ways you can vote. Beth, do you mind laying this all out for us?
Yes, we have a lot of ways you can vote. We're not just a vote on election day anymore. We have lots of possibilities. So the main way that you would do it right now would be by mail. So a lot of college students and even high school students are away on election day. So that would be if you meet one of the requirements, which we'll show you in a minute, one of the requirements to vote by mail, then you can request an absentee ballot. One of the ways is early voting. We have 9 early voting locations. 2 of those are going to open Tuesday, October 8th, and then we'll have 7 others that'll open October 23rd. And then you can go to your own polling place on election day. I might tell you, back to early voting, you can vote at any 9 of those anywhere in our county on early voting. You don't have to go to a specific one in your own city, just anywhere in Hamilton County. On election day, though, you have to go to your own polling site. So there are ways to look that up, which we'll show you. And that's another way you can vote, is Tuesday, November 5th at your polling location. So let's go through the early voting. For early voting, you're going to show up and you're going to have the same identification as election day. You're going to have the same voting machine. You're going to check in on the same poll pad. Everything's the same. You're just voting early. So like I said, October 8th, this next Tuesday, if you're home, it'd be a great week for you to come ahead and vote. We're open Tuesday through Friday next week, and there's varying times you can find on our website. And then we will also be open 2 Saturdays right before election, which will be October 26th and November 2nd. So that's when a lot of people come and vote. So maybe college students are home for the weekend to see parents or to do things. That's a great option for a college student to come and vote that way. And like we said, you can vote at any of those locations. If you're going to Carmel to meet somebody for pizza, then stop in in one of the 3 Carmel sites and go ahead and vote while you're there. These are the 2 locations in Noblesville that open Tuesday. The Judicial Center, which is in downtown Noblesville, which we had talked about, and then the 4-H grounds, which are over on Pleasant Street. You might go to the 4-H fair or whatnot over there, or different functions. I would suggest the fairgrounds because it's way easy to park there. They have a huge parking lot. It's easy to get in and out, and they're open 9 to 4. Starting Tuesday. The Judicial Center, you just have to find somewhere to park on the square. We have parking garages and things like that. And you're welcome to come there too, 8 to 4:30. The other locations, we have 2 locations in Westfield. They open on October 23rd. We have some evening hours. Wednesdays and Thursdays go to 7 p.m. And then we also have some daytime hours on Fridays and Saturdays. Saturdays 10 to 3, which is a great option. As long as you're in line by 3, you get a vote. So don't think, oh, it's 2:45, I'm never going to make it in. As long as you're in line before closing at any of those hours, then you'll get a vote. Westfield City Hall is on Penn Street, and then Cool Creek Nature Center is a really neat place to go vote because they have neat things that you can see as well, and they have a large parking lot they've got set up for us there. In Fishers, we have the Roy Holland Memorial Park building, and we have Billericay Park building. They're on different sides of Fishers, and they're both fantastic parking. Of course, all of our locations are ADA compliant. And if you're in Fishers for the day, stop in and vote there. And last but not least, we have 3 locations in Carmel. We have the Carmel Library, which we added this past year. It's got a new addition on, and we vote in the new addition. It's beautiful. Lots of parking there. We have Wilfong Pavilion in Founders Park, big building, lots of parking, and the Jill Perlman Pavilion on the west side of Carmel. Lots of people vote there, so plenty of room for Carmel people. So you say, what do I bring with me for early voting? Same thing as for election day. You have to have identification in Indiana. So it would be an Indiana driver's license or state ID. You can't bring an out-of-state license, of course. And then a U.S. passport, if you have that, or a U.S. military ID. The main focus on an identification is that it has to be your state or it has to be U.S. It has to have your picture, your name, and an expiration date. So that's why your college identifications don't usually work, because they don't have an expiration date.
Okay, let's stop again. Let's see if we have any questions about early voting. Beth, in your experience, early voting, shorter lines?
It just varies. The first couple of weeks of early voting, there are usually shorter lines. Not the very first day. There are always people that just love to get in on the first day. But starting next Wednesday, you'll probably be able to just get in and vote right away. The last 2 weeks, you can go in and maybe have to wait a little bit, but we've got lots of machines at those locations and lots of workers, and we'll get you through as quick as possible. I think in the last presidential, there were not that long of lines, even on the 2 Saturdays. The 2 Saturdays, of course, are going to be most people that would expect a line on those 2 days, and you probably will wait in a line.
We also have a really cool new tool that was designed by our IT department. It can help you locate early voting locations. If you go to geohub.hamiltoncounty.in.gov, it will take you to our GeoHub Center. There is a logo there for early voting. If you click on it, you'll be able to hover over any of these locations, and it will give you the hours and when they're open, addresses if you need that, and directions to each of those locations. So that's a cool new feature that we've got this year. If when in doubt, there's an easy way to find your early voting location. And just like she said, if you happen to be going up to Noblesville to be shopping around the square, and you're right there anyway. You can pop into the Judicial Center, cast a vote, and head on out about your day. All right, well then let's move on to absentee.
Okay, absentee voting. You can request an absentee ballot right now, and there are several ways to request an absentee ballot, but just like voter registration, there is a deadline for obvious reasons, because we've got to get that ballot to you by mail. It's the only way it can be sent, and then you've got to get it back by election day. So let me tell you how you can request an absentee ballot. You can get an application just like registration. You can get an application at indianavoters.com or our Hamilton County website under elections, and you can complete it. The different thing about absentee applications is we don't need a wet signature like we do for voter registration. If you don't do it online with voter registration, that's why you have to mail it in or come in. You can't email it. But these applications where you're applying for a ballot, you can email them to us. So it's really easy. You can fax them to us. You can take a picture and email them to us. So if you get that downloaded, it's very easy to do. These are the reasons that you can vote early. So, you're expecting to be out of the county all day that day. 65 and older, people with disabilities. Maybe you're going to be working that day. We have a lot of young people who work our elections. There are lots of, you're caring for somebody who's confined, maybe a parent or something. You're scheduled to work all day that day. There's lots of different reasons that you can request an absentee ballot. So if you qualify for one of those, it's very secure to request an absentee ballot. And then we will send you a ballot same day we get the application. So, I mean, we mailed out almost 700 today, so it's a lot.
So you mentioned you can find it online.
Yes, online at indianavoters.com. You can do it electronically. The really cool thing about this is you look yourself up, and then it already has your information in there, and it connects your BMV signature to your application. That's how we get your signature on your application. It's super fast, super easy, and we get your application immediately. So it's not even an overnight thing like voter registration is. So if you do it this evening, we'll have it and be ready to send you a ballot tomorrow. So it's very quick, but you have to do it by October 24th at 11:59
All
p.m.
right. In person, they can come to you.
They can come to us here at the Judicial Center, same way for voter registration. You just come to the elections office. We're on the first floor of the Judicial Center. We have the applications here. You can fill one out, and we don't have very many people do that since they can email them. A lot of people just take a picture and email or scan and email them to us. And then, yeah, like we were talking about, you can download it, print it, and email it or fax it to us. There's our phone number, by the way, there too.
Yeah, and well, I was surprised. We were talking earlier, people actually do fax these things too. I didn't know that was so much of a thing anymore.
Yes.
But I think we do want to issue a warning to a mom or a dad who might want their child to vote absentee, that when you need that signature, the signature when they mail has to match that signature that you're sending in. So we need to make sure that our young folks are requesting their own ballots. Yes.
Yes, make sure that signature on there is their signature, because when they sign that white envelope to send their ballot in, that's going to be compared to that absentee ballot application signature. So those need to match. Otherwise, it'll cause a cure needed. It'll be a little bit of a rigmarole to get everything counted. It doesn't discount your ballot necessarily if they don't think the signatures match, but then they'd have to go through a cure process.
Yeah,
that's important. We cannot accept an electronic signature. You should know how a lot of people will do a pretty little signature electronically. You don't want to do that, and that's for this reason, because they're going to compare it to your ballot.
So what's this look like when it comes in the mail? And there's a lot to it, so make some sense for us.
Yes, you see that top picture, it'll come in a manila colored yellow envelope like that. It does say official ballot on the outside of it, official mail. We actually mail those special where they're supposed to be mailed a little bit faster. The second picture, you'll see a yellow paper. That's the instructions to fill out your ballot. Very important to go step by step on those. It's a simple process, but you want to make sure you follow every step. And then the third picture is your ballot. That tells you who the candidates are, and then right beside that is a number. And that fourth picture down there is where you record those numbers. So you have the little holes on there that you fill in. And so say you found a candidate that had a number 3 beside it that you would like to vote for, you're going to find the number 3 on your ballot card, and you're going to fill in that little hole. We recommend at least starting with pencil, because a lot of people will make mistakes, go, oh, I filled that in on the wrong line. And if you do it with pen, when we send those through those tabulations, it could mess it up. So I would recommend at least starting with pencil. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving it with pencil, then do over it with pen. The next thing you see up there, the completed ballot in the secrecy envelope, once you're sure that that's the way you want your ballot, you'll stick it in a little secrecy envelope we send, and then you'll stick it in that white envelope. It's already got the postage on it and everything. The only thing you have to do to that white envelope, and you have to remember this, is sign it. You sign the outside of it, and we stamp a big red sign here on it. So hopefully people won't forget that. And then you return your ballot in the mail, and you can actually walk it in or return it in the mail, whichever one you would like.
Now, Beth, I know that is, unfortunately, it happens more often than you'd like, but the people will return it and it won't have been signed. What will happen to those ballots if you receive them and there's no signature?
So then what we do is we start what we call a cure process. We will send a letter to that person and say, hey, we got a ballot. It appears to be yours. We send it to the same address, that the ballot was requested at. And if you send that back, if you sign that and say, yes, that was my ballot, I forgot to sign it. And then you have to give a little reason, which mostly just I forgot. Then you will send that in to us, and then your ballot will count. That's all the process is. You can email that back, but we have to get that back 8 days after election. So they give you a little bit of time, because maybe your ballot doesn't get to us until election day. Maybe you mailed it late or walked it in on election day. We'll catch it if you walk it in. But so we give you some time to cure that ballot so that your vote will count.
Good. All right. How do we return it? Because it's important it gets there in time.
Very important. You can return it in person here. If you happen to be home on a weekend, you're like, I'm just going to walk it in. You can also have somebody bring it in. That person has to be either a family member or somebody you live with. So, if you're living with a friend or whatnot, then that person can also bring it in, but they'll have to fill out this ABS 19 form. It's very simple. It just says, I'm bringing in so-and-so's ballot. They gave it to me at this location, and then they sign their name. It's very simple. But if you bring your own in, you just drop it off. We make sure it's signed. We stamp it in. You're on your way. Or of course you can mail it in. Like I said, the postage is on there. You don't have to worry about that. The address is on there. All you have to do is remember to sign it, put your ballot in there, throw it in the mailbox.
And you need to have it by?
We need to have it on election day by 6 p.m. So now remember, election day is a Tuesday, and for some reason people don't get a lot of mail on Tuesdays. It's something about the way the trucks run. So your focus would be to get it here on Monday. So I would mail it at least a week before election day.
Oh.
November 5th, that's the day, 6 p.m. It has to be in our office. It used to be noon, but at 6 p.m. they're giving a little more leeway.
All right. And forewarning, 6 o'clock in your office on election day is quite busy. Parking may be at premium too.
Yes.
So the sooner you can get these absentee ballots back, the better.
Yes. And I might say as well, if you can drop those absentee ballots off also at the early voting locations. And that's kind of new in the last year. It's been a law change. So you can't drop it off at the polling locations on election day, because they won't be back here by 6. It's the only reason you can't. But if you're out by a Carmel early voting location and you have your ballot, you're welcome to drop it off there. They put it in a sealed bag, and we have a courier come and pick it up.
And an interesting note, these are the very first ballots to be counted, correct?
They are. Yep. We start very early in the morning on election day. Nothing gets opened before election day. So people have heard that, oh, those get open when they come in, and people know, how many people are voting for a certain person. Not true. They don't even start to be opened until election morning. We're counting them all day. And they're the first ones to get on our count.
All right. Are you seeing any questions about absentee voting?
I'm not seeing any.
All right, then we'll move on to the big day, November 5th.
November
We
5th,
can't
election
give
day.
you this day and time enough, can we?
No, we just keep saying it over and over.
Yeah.
The polls are open on election day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 12 hours. If you're in line by 6 p.m., you will get to vote. So you just have to remember on election day that you have to go to your own polling location. So you can find those locations in the newspaper. You can get on indianavoters.com and look yourself up, and it'll tell you your location and the address and everything. You can call our office, and we'll be glad to tell you where your location is.
Yeah, indianavoters.com truly is a wonderful resource. If you remember nothing else from this webinar, remember indianavoters.com, because you're going to find most of what you need there. And like you said, a great place to verify where your precinct is at. I believe they even give you an address and a map.
Yes, they do. Very easy. This is a sample ballot of your precinct, and this is the sample ballot that you see kind of like here. You can get on our website, our Hamilton County website, if you know your precinct. If you don't, call us. We'll let you know which precinct you're in, or you can look it up on indianavoters.com. The reason we have these type of sample ballots is this is exactly what it will look like in your, I'm getting a message here. I'll get it in just a minute. This is exactly what it will look like in your machine, the voting machine. Or if we send you a ballot, it will look this way. So it's very easy for people to look at this and go, okay, I'm going to have 7 pages. I'm going to vote for this on this page, that, that type of thing. If you look at indianavoters.com, it will tell you who's on your ballot. It just won't be in this format. It's still very informative.
All right.
Somebody said I had some audio. Thank you for doing this. I had audio problems, so I dropped off the webinar.
Okay. Well, we'll let you know that this is being recorded, and we will share it tomorrow on our social media channels. So whatever you missed out on, hopefully you can come back and pick up where you left off. You did also mention that indianavoters.com is a great place to just even check to make sure that that registration you filled out went through and that you're in the system.
Yes, exactly. And the really cool thing about indianavoters.com, if you request an absentee ballot, and you kind of check that every day or two, we will let you know on indianavoters.com when we've sent your ballot. It will tell you that, when we received your application, when we've sent the ballot. And then once you send it back, it will tell you that we've received your ballot. And then after election day, it will tell you if your ballot counted. So it can give you a lot of information.
Okay, so we know what to bring, but for those who've never voted, this can be a little bit intimidating. Why don't you walk us through what it looks like? And really, I've been voting a very long time, but for those of you who are new, this is really just couldn't be a simpler, more streamlined process the way this runs. You are in and out of there before you even know it hit you. So Beth, if you would walk us through what this looks like, that'd be great.
Right. So what you'll see right when you walk in is this picture on the right. You'll see these people sitting here with their iPads is what they are. And most of you probably have used an iPad. So they'll ask you for your identification, which is usually an Indiana driver's license or state ID. And they'll scan those. Like I said, you can bring passport or military ID as well. And those don't scan, but they'll look you up in the poll pad. They'll find your name. They'll ask you, do you still live at the address you're registered at? And if you do, then it's just a matter of them pushing a couple of buttons. You sign right on that poll pad, sign that you're voting, and then they will give you a little ticket to take to the judge, who will take you to the machine. Now, I might say, if by chance you're registered to vote in Hamilton County and you miss the cutoff date, to get your address changed. Say you've moved in the last few months, still in Hamilton County, then don't say, oh, I just can't vote, because you can go back and vote one time at your old location as long as it's the same county. So just call us. We will, early voting is probably the best way to do that, but we'll tell you where you need to go if you want to go on election day, or you'll show up to early voting, you'll fill out a form, you'll change your address there, and you'll still get a vote. So don't think just because you missed that date, you can still vote. So that judge will take you to the voting machine. This is what our voting machines look like right here. And they're not a touch screen, they're a button. The buttons select the candidates that you want to vote for. So they will put a card in that machine, they'll pull your ballot up. They'll give you some simple instructions. Usually they'll say, you press the button, you see those little gray buttons, you'll press that button next to the name of the candidate. If you change your mind on that candidate, you repress that button to get the X taken off, and then vote for the one you want. The ballot gives you really good instructions itself. Of course, there are some public questions on some ballots, and you can vote yes or no. There's the presidential candidates on there, and you'll get a vote for those. There's Congress, there's local candidates, there's school board, all sorts of things. And as well as there is a straight party on there that you can vote straight party if you'd like. You just have to remember, if you vote straight party, the public questions, school board, which is nonpartisan, it doesn't count for any of those. And then for the retention of judges. So you have to go on down your ballot and vote for those things. It only votes for partisan offices. So you need to remember that if you vote straight ticket. The final page of your ballot, you have to go through every page, and the ballot's fairly long this time. There's a voter confirmation page on the very last page. You only have to vote for one candidate or one thing on the whole ballot. That's the question we get a lot is, do I have to vote for everything? No, you only have to make one mark on that ballot, and then you'll verify it at the end. And then a cool thing that we have now is we have what we call VVPATs. It's a voter verifiable paper audit trail is what that stands for. And you'll get this little screen on the right-hand side of your voting panel, and it will show you everything you voted for after you verify your vote. And then if you think, oh, yep, that's exactly what I voted for, I don't want to change anything, then you see that red button there on that panel, it will light up and you'll push that and you'll be able to, and that casts your ballot. It's very simple to vote with these machines. That easy, yeah.
Yeah. And not only don't forget to pick up your I voted.
Yes.
But please tell our poll workers if this is the first time that you're voting, because we just love to make a big deal out of our new folks casting their ballots for the very first time. And by all means, share it on social media. We know you kids love your social media, but you sharing the fact that you went out and voted might actually encourage someone else to take the time to stop, research the situation, and go out and vote for themselves. So yeah, please let us help celebrate you on election day if this is the first time that you're voting.
Yes.
We'll stop for questions here too. While we wait for any questions, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the contact information for the Hamilton County Election Office. You guys are there, and while very busy, you're always happy to field lots of questions.
Absolutely.
While we're waiting for any questions that might come in, I threw a couple out here just for you, Beth, because I know these are ones that you tend to get a lot.
Yes.
Do you have to have a driver's license to vote in Indiana? And I know this answer because you've said it a couple of times, but there are quite a few young folks who, even after 16, 17, 18, have decided not to get a driver's license yet. Does this preclude them from voting?
No. And you might not have a passport. I mean, if you're not traveling out of the country, you might not have that. If you're not in the military, you don't have a military ID. So what you would want to have is a state ID, an Indiana state ID. It's just an identification card, and you do have to have that. So what I would recommend is the day before election on that Monday that I told you that the BMV is closed. They usually have some hours they're open that day for IDs, but all day on election day, you can go into the BMV and get an ID for free. just for voting. I'm not talking about driver's license. I'm talking about an ID that will allow you to vote. It'll be a temporary ID, or maybe you're like, I just went and got my new driver's license. It's that temporary piece of paper, and now I'm not going to be able to vote. Nope, you can bring that. That's good too. It has your face and your the expiration date, as well as maybe you've lost your driver's license
Yeah.
and you say, I have a picture of it on my phone. That's acceptable as well. So
Really?
any of those things, yes, electronic identifications are acceptable.
Okay. You did mention that you do not have to vote for every office on the ballot, but you are going to have to move through the ballot
Every
on the
page.
machine. So what
Mhm.
should they be hitting rather than feeling like they need to hit something in order to advance
Yes,
the page?
yes. And probably the poll worker who takes you to the voting machine will tell you this, but in the far left and right hand corners on your voting machine, there's a back page and a forward page. So that's how it advances your ballot. When you get to it'll say next page or back page. When you get to the very last page, instead of next page, that'll say verify vote. And that's where you hit to verify your vote, where it comes up in the screen and then allows you to cast it with that red button. So you can scroll all over, if you pass something and you say, oh, I decided I think I will vote for that, then go back a page and go ahead until you have hit that red cast vote button, you can change your ballot.
Yeah, so basically, if I go in and all I really feel like I want to vote for is president, that's all I have to vote for. I just have to vote for one thing
Correct.
and then we can, okay.
Correct.
And yes, I think we encourage that too, because if you've maybe not done your homework and you're not familiar with an issue or something on the ballot or the candidates in a particular running for a particular office, it's probably best not to vote if you don't know what you're
Yes.
voting for. So if young voters would like to learn more and really, get themselves up to speed on the candidates and the issues that would be on their ballot, I'd say you probably suggest they go to indianavoters.com and or our website and pull up their sample ballot first so they know what's going to be on it. But
Yes.
where do you recommend folks go get good information? Where can they get reliable information that might be useful to them at the polls?
Right. Just about every one of our candidates have a web page for all the parties. So if you just Google their name and what they're running for, you're probably going to find the information about them. Another good thing that I think is awesome is our Hamilton County Reporter newspaper. Within a week or so, they'll start running every candidate and their bio and what they stand for and things like that. They reach out to every candidate and almost all of them respond. And then they run that in the newspaper every day. So you can access it online, access the Hamilton County Reporter online. It's a great source of information, especially for our local candidates. Now, if they're state and federal candidates, you might have to just find their website, which it will be easy to do, like I said, with Google, to find the information about them.
Awesome. Beth, I'm going to go ahead and put up your personal information. I'm sure you and your staff would be happy to help answer any questions
Absolutely.
that folks might have. Again, here a list of the most important key dates that are coming up here rather fast. The first one is on Monday.
Yes.
Do you want to run us through these, or do you want to leave us with any final thoughts? If you're a young voter, a first-time voter, just some thoughts about the process and how to make it so it's something to celebrate, not something to be scared of.
Right, right. I think just going through the voting machine like we did, going through the absentee ballot, it probably made you realize it's not so difficult to go in and vote. October 7th, make sure you're registered to vote. If we have so many young people that go to the polls on election day or go to early voting and it's too late for them to get registered because they didn't realize they had to register. So make sure that you're registered by Monday evening, okay? And then once early voting begins, just make your plan about how you're going, where you're going to vote. I'm going to vote early on this day. I'm going to request an absentee ballot and then just go ahead and take care of it. Like I said, if like Tammy said, you don't have to know everything about every candidate. Just vote for what you know. Vote for what you would like to vote for. Do a little bit of research. You can go to functions even in Hamilton County. There's a lot you can do around our county. We're very focused on our candidates. So just make an informed decision and get there. Once you get there, you're going to be surprised how friendly our poll workers are. And like Tammy said, how excited they are to have, if you say, oh, this is my first time voting, they might make a big deal about you. So if you don't want a big deal made about you, maybe don't say that. And then we even made, because Tammy had talked to us about it, we even made some first time voter stickers for this year that most locations are going to have, especially for early voting. So that'll be exciting for you to be able to pick up one of those as well.
All right. Are you seeing any other questions?
Nope, I don't see any.
All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us. This was quick and sweet. We appreciate you taking the time to listen and learn. And like I said, if maybe you know somebody who could benefit from this particular webinar, wasn't able to make it tonight, we have been recording it and we will place it on our social media sites first thing in the morning.